Hi, my name is Bennett Garfinkel, and I'm the medico-legal researcher and legal assistant to lead counsel attorney Brian Wickland here at the Maitland offices of Garfinkel Schwartz. We also have another office on the Space Coast in Florida, in Titusville as well. I'm talking to you today about environmental exposures that quite a few contractors and veterans have been exposed to while serving overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Department of Defense, when setting up the bases in Afghanistan and Iraq, did not think things through. They didn't, on average, each soldier or contractor produces about 10 pounds of waste a day. And when you have a very large contingent of soldiers or contractors on any base, the waste can get out of hand. So the DoD decided to burn all of the trash, not in incinerators, but in open air burn pits. You've probably seen or heard about these burn pits and are familiar with the plumes of toxic black smoke that come out. And exposure to these toxic black smokes can actually cause quite a few health problems. While the DoD officially denies it, quite a bit of research recently has come out that shows that there is a strong link between these burn pits, the environmental exposure to the smoke, and respiratory, cardiovascular diseases, and also cancer. Quite a few individuals have come back home only to be diagnosed with severe respiratory problems, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, being winded far too easily, chronic fatigue. All of these may be signs that you were exposed to toxic chemicals from burn pits. A very common and extremely dangerous condition, and irreversible I might add, that a lot of contractors and veterans have been diagnosed with since coming home after exposure to burn pits on large bases, is called constrictive bronchiolitis. Now, how the lungs work is they have lots of tiny little pockets inside the lungs that allow oxygen to get into the bloodstream. What happens with this black smoke full of toxic chemicals is they actually clog up these tiny little oxygen pores called alveoli, and when these little oxygen pores can't get the oxygen to the blood, the whole body is not oxygenated. And when you don't have enough oxygen, you feel constant shortness of breath, you can't breathe, you feel fatigue. It's a really terrifying condition. A lot of people feel they're being suffocated or they can't breathe. It's terrible. And if you feel that you've had exposure to these toxic chemicals, one of the only ways to be diagnosed with this condition is to go to a pulmonary specialist and actually get a biopsy of the lung. Normally, for lung diseases, you can get x-rays or CT scans, but with chronic bronchiolitis, you actually have to look at it through a microscope, and it's very, very difficult to diagnose. It's very rare, but one of the telltale signs is that you're an otherwise healthy individual. You went to Iraq or Afghanistan or one of our bases in Africa to do contracting work, or if you were exposed as a veteran, and all of a sudden you develop asthma or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or COPD. Symptoms like these can also be indicative of constrictive bronchiolitis, the irreversible and sometimes fatal illness caused by exposure to these burn pits. Now, if you think you may have any of these symptoms, it's a great idea to talk to a doctor or to call our offices. We have a lot of medical resources. That's my job here. I research, I find physicians, I make sure appointments are set, I make sure our clients know exactly what's going on. If it's possible, they could possibly get medical compensation for these illnesses, which is what our firm exclusively deals with: contractors that are injured overseas, exposed to environmental toxins, or possibly get PTSD from their experiences. Their medical care and their lost wages are covered by our firm. We feel here at Garfinkel Schwartz that if you're injured or exposed to toxic chemicals, your job isn't to fight these insurance companies that have essentially endless resources and numerous lawyers to try to deny your claim. Remember, they make their money by not giving you your medical care. And we feel that's just ethically wrong, and that's our job here to help you guys. So if you're sick, if you're feeling these really terrifying shortness of breath, suffocation, or chronic fatigue, It's our job to get you the best medical care possible, to get that medical care compensated, and to make sure your family is comfortable in a lifestyle that you're accustomed to. So again, my name is Bennett Garfinkel. I'm here talking to you about environmental exposures to dangerous toxins that are common in bases in Iraq and Afghanistan for contractors and veterans exposed to these burn pits. So if you are familiar with these plumes of black smoke, remember that there's many, many toxic chemicals in there that can cause severe respiratory illnesses. And I'm coming to you today from the Maitland office of Garfinkel Schwartz. Our law firm deals exclusively with contractors and the Defense Base Act law. We also have another office in Titusville, Florida. I really appreciate you listening to me today, and hopefully we can get you some help. Thank you.